Miss Schultz, so hope everybody's doing well. So we're gonna go over this classwork as a play pause it, and I'm gonna do it in 3 or 4 different videos. So this video is only gonna do numbers 1 through 3. So there's a couple different ways to watch this video. One way to do it, one way to do it is just to do the whole classwork first, whole, like, by thing, I mean the whole classwork first on your own. Whole classwork first, then watch, okay? Or do it piece by piece with me. Now this video is only gonna do 1 through 3, so even by whole thing, at least like 1 through 3. Or you can legit just do it piece by piece by piece and follow along. The reason I point that out is because it's a classwork and we've never done a classwork as a play pause it before. So here's the reason we're doing a classwork as a play pause it. So A, it's to input your answers, hold you accountable, make sure you're doing your stuff and I can know where you're at, okay? But 2 is what I think the main reason we're doing it as a play pause it is the teacher, that's me, supporting you with explanations. So why is that a thing? So I could have you just all post your completed work to Google Classroom and we move on. But what if you have a question or you want to, immediate feedback, I think is also nice. Did I get this right now? And a lot of these problems are similar. So you want to know if you got this one right before moving on to the next one, which is similar, totally makes sense. So that's what we're going to do here is go over problem by problem by problem so that you can know immediately, like right now as you're doing this, if you get it right or wrong, as opposed to waiting for me to turn it over and give it back to you. Yeah, and with the whole printing and uploading, it's like, me correcting it would be a little bit tricky for math. Yeah, so basically if you were to call me over, be like, oh, Miss Schultz, I don't know how to do number 1. What I'm gonna say on this video is exactly what I would say to you in class next to your desk, So it's kind of, I know it's not perfect, but it's kind of like I'm right there next to you, helping you do it. So also, I want to point out ways to watch virtual videos. I know play pause it is not foreign to you at all, but especially with classwork where some of you might really get it and some of you might really not still, like you'll be at more different points. Definitely use pause and rewind. And then I'm not sure if it lets you fast forward. I'm going to put that with a question mark. Forward, but like if you get it, then you don't need to listen to my explanations. But this is pretty sweet. One good thing about virtual learning is you can go at your own pace and you can make me repeat whatever I'm saying as many times as you want if you don't, if you just need to hear it a couple more times. Okay, so let's actually get into it. We're gonna do problems 1 through 3 in this video. I don't want to make this mega crazy long video, so we're going to do 1 through 3 in this video, and then stay tuned for other videos for the rest of the problems because this one goes through 10. Okay, so you're going to solve this diffie-q. So please do the first step of separating the variables. Go ahead. Okay, that's the first step, and then I'm going to integrate both sides. So this is kind of like a rewriting it in order to make it, separate the variables is really like a rewriting. So now integrate both sides, okay? Do the I. This is the I. Okay, so now this is it. So this has a degree of 1, okay? So that's how you know it's an ln. It's y to the first. Now if it was y squared, well, there's some acceptance, but for now we'll just say the degree is 1 on the denominator, so it's going to be ln. Okay, and then this you could have, so of course written it as x to the 4th over 4. Now this, I just want you to note it. The purpose of this is to notice patterns. There's basically 2 main problem types of diffie-qs that involve ln. And you can't really tell from the beginning, but as this step, you can tell which problem type it's going to be. So see how when I integrate, I get an ln on one side, but not on the other side? So I'm going to circle ln on one side. So you can answer this. You can answer after integrating. I mean, some of you might be able to look at the original and figure it out, but and the reason why I want you to is there's going to be different patterns to each. You don't really need to know this, but the more you notice patterns, the more you can be confident in your answers. Okay, so I want you to plug in the 0 and the 4 to find C. No. Whoa. Not yet. Rewrite this, okay? Solve for y, please. Solve for y. Okay, let's do it. So I have this. I have this. Okay, right? So addition turns into multiplication with like bases. So I'm going to take away the absolute value from the left side. Oops. I decided to solve for e to the c right now. So I guess, yeah, let's do that. Let's solve for e to the c right now by plugging in. Okay, go ahead. What is e to the c? Not c, but what is e to the c? Okay, let's go over it. So this is the subbing in. E to the c is 7. What? E to the c is 7. Okay, so when I put e to the c back in, now I could put it on the tail end, because e to the c is on the tail end, but this is just a coefficient, so I put it at the front, because that's where we put coefficients. Okay. Now, to get rid of the absolute value, I do plus or minus on the right. My y is positive, so I choose a positive, and then I subtract 3, right? So the final answer is that. Okay, let's move on to number 2. Okay, so consider, let me move this up. Okay, so consider, this one's less bent. Okay, so consider this diff EQ, so please separate the variables. Okay, that is the separation of the variables. Okay, so you can think of that as your rewrite. The separate the variables is your rewrite. So I'll put a little r there. Now integrate both sides. Okay, that's what you get when you integrate both sides. Again, the degree of this is 1, so it's an ln, and the degree of this is 1, so it's ln, right? Oops, okay, sorry, having some issues here. So now I want you to start getting the y alone. Whoa, it's sliding, my phone. Okay, so I want you to start getting the y alone. Try to do that. Okay, so how I do it is I think of this as base e. So I do e to the all of this, all of that, equals all of that. Okay, so e to the all of this, right? Oops, I put that here. I put it on the right side. E to the all of this equals all, hold on. Okay, hold on, wait. Okay, so we're right here, we got an ln on both sides. So now I want to circle this on this side. So after I integrate, I have an ln on both sides. So when we get to the final answer, I'm just going to compare and contrast the form of the final answer with between 1 and 2, because 1 had an ln on one side and this has an ln on both sides. So that'll end up with 2 pretty different forms for my final answer. Okay, so now how to rewrite. So now I'm going to do the rewrite step, okay? I'm going to start solving for y. So like solve for y, okay? Now when there's an ln on both sides, I just do what's called exponentiating it. And I do like e to the all of that equals e to the all of that, okay? So what does that look like? Looks like that, okay? So now I can simplify, rewrite, etc. I'm doing a lot of rewriting here. So this e and this ln cancel. This you cannot cancel right now. You may not. So what you can do is rewrite this right side so that there's no more addition in the exponent anymore. So go ahead, do that. Okay, so that's the left side, just cancels out because this is one term. It's ln of, like this is all in the argument. However, this is not all in the argument. This is separate, so I have to rewrite it first. Hopefully that makes sense. So this cancels, this doesn't, because the plus c is not inside the argument. So argument is like inside. Okay, so this can cancel out now, okay? Just like that. You may not get rid of this absolute value of x. It's got to stay there, okay? So now, can you just leave it like this? We could finish solving for y now, but just leave it like this and solve for e to the c. So what is e to the c here? If you've already done it, yeah. Okay, let's go. So it is 2/3. Oh yeah, here's my work. Here, I'll zoom out a little bit so we can see the whole problem now. Okay, so you can check out how I plugged in. Yeah. Okay. So now I'm going to put that back in. So right here, this is 3/2, and that's a coefficient, so I'm going to put it at the beginning. So rewrite it with a coefficient in there. There we go. Okie dokie. Now I can take away the absolute value and see if my y value is actually positive or negative. So it is positive. So I selected the positive case, and then I add 1 to both sides. All right, that's it, okay? So, right, in terms of comparing and contrasting, so when I have an ln on one side, when I rewrite it, I get an e on the other side. So my final answer to this was an exponential, right? So I got an ln on one side. My final answer is an exponential, base e. Okay. Compare and contrast that. You might need to, I know I write really fast, so feel free to pause it. You need to compare that to here when there's an ln on both sides. They both cancel out when I rewrite it. So this is not an exponential. This is a polynomial. So this leads to final answer. Okay. I mean, this is a line, but they won't always be lines, but you can say polynomial is a polynomial. So you'll notice that's true in every case. Okay, let's keep going. Let's do number 3. Let's do number 3. It is multiple choice. Okay, but we're going to go through it a little bit step by step. Okay, so I want you to circle what problem type this is. So this is my function here. Now, when you go to separate the variables, okay, I made that a little close. When you go to separate the variables, keep the -2 where it is, okay? I know you're going to divide by y on both sides, so I know it's really tempting to divide by -2y, but keep the -2 where it is. Otherwise, it becomes, you know, unnecessarily a thing. Okay, so let's do it. So that's it. So please separate the variables. Go. Okay, so we got that. Now integrate both sides. Okay, we got that. At this point, I have ln on one side, but not the other side. This is linear. So I'm going to circle ln on one side. If I'm thinking, that means my final answer will be an exponential. But I'm gonna sub in. So, but I'll get an exponential before I plug in. So now start solving for y, please. Okay, it looks like that. Keep going. Okay, looks like that. Okay, so now use your initial condition. This is my initial condition. Initial condition. I often annotate as just IC, like I dot C dot. Okay, so go ahead, plug that in to solve for e to the c. Go ahead. So e to the c is 1. Cool. So my answer before I plug in is this. Okay, my y is positive. Okay, so now please, let's see what the question's asking. What is the value for t when y is a half? So what is the value of t when y is a half? Oh, did it slide? Yeah, it slid down. Okay. So I'm going to sub in a half for y, right? And now I need to solve for t. So how do I solve for t here? I rewrite as a logarithm, okay? I rewrite as a log. Or you could think of it as take the log of both sides. Now when I say log, that can include natural log. So if I say log, that doesn't necessarily mean log, it could mean ln. So when I say take the log of both sides, in this case, since it's space c, you're actually going to take the ln of both sides. Or rewrite it as a log, aka rewrite it as an ln, and then solve for t. Let's do that. So we got that. Okay, so when I solve for t, I divide by -2. So when I do this, see how there's no ln of a half here? So that's pretty fishy, right? That just means that especially with log problems, that your answer is not the same thing. Now, if you had ln of a half over -2, you had to guess, well, actually, yeah, it's going to be pretty tough. Between A, it's either going to be A or C, right? But it might not be what you think, because you would guess this is negative, right? Not so fast. So what you want to do is you want to rewrite log of a quotient is the difference of two logs, right? Log of a quotient is the difference of two logs. Ln of 1 is 0, so it goes away. So it's just negative ln of 2 over -2, which is actually C. I just want to say that rewriting it like this is an old problem. It's pretty like old school. They don't do these tricks as much anymore, and they might just leave it as ln of a half all over -2. So not to be forlorn. Okay, thanks. Hopefully you're all well and healthy. All right, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.